Merry Thanksgiving and welcome to a Merry Thanksgivmas edition of Q&A, where I take your questions from Facebook, no Facebook, where I take your questions from YouTube and Twitter, and definitely not Facebook because I don't take questions from Facebook, and answer them here in video form. And one thing I want to get out there, because I get a lot of questions whenever I post a Q&A, is that how do I get my questions answered on the show? And I'm sorry I haven't been more transparent about this, but allow me to give you that now. If you want to see your questions get answered on the show, the best chance to do so is to follow me on Twitter, one. Of course, subscribe to me on YouTube, but also click that notification bell so you can be notified when I put the post up on YouTube. It's a text post, it's not a video. So if you have your notifications on, you will be notified. Quincy is asking for questions for Q&A, and then that way you'll be able to jump on and ask your question, because the way I do it is I go from first person to ask a question to last person to ask a question. So sometimes you ask a question that's going to be on the show, but somebody asked that question an hour before you did, so you did not make it onto the show. That is just how that works. So if you want to have your question answered, again, subscribe, Twitter, and then have your notifications on for both. I don't know if you have notifications for Twitter, and I'll try not to tweet a lot to send your phone going crazy, but have your notifications on for those. That way, when I put the post up, you can be one of the first comments that I read, and that's how you get onto the show. So again, sorry for the confusion about that, but with that being said, it's time to answer your questions, and we're gonna start with Darth Sidious Andrew, and he says, "What are your thoughts on the benching of Mason and the Steelers being on their third string QB now?" I mean, you had to do something, right? If you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, I don't know what the future is for them at that position. I think it's bleak. I think they're headed to quarterback hell. They're not careful. But, as far as it goes for the game this Sunday, I think Duck Hodges gives them a better chance to win than Mason Rudolph does. And for the Browns, I think Duck Hodges is not something you can't overcome. I mean, this team has a win over the front runner for MVP. You better be able to beat Duck Hodges. The next question comes from Handsome Dwarf Riders, who says, "What do you attribute the low in play that the Browns seem to have for a quarter or two every game? Even Baker has acknowledged it's happening." I mean, I watch a lot of football, and every football game has a lull in it, right? Like, there are going to be a string in a football game, most likely, where it's for both sides, where just nothing really happens. That's just kind of football. Like, it's kind of natural to have a lull. You can't be firing on all cylinders for the whole game unless you're the Baltimore Ravens. But for most teams in most football games, I think it's natural to have a lull there. I don't think you read into it that much. Sure, is it frustrating when you have a team that you feel like if they are firing on all cylinders will not have a lull? Yes. But, if they went off for 4 quarters against the Dolphins, they would pull up 70, 80 points? That'd be ridiculous. So, I think the low is just kind of a natural thing that happens. Now, you can shorten those lows, you can minimize them, but you're at best a very good NFL team is always going to have 3 or 4 possessions where they just do nothing with the ball. That's just a natural thing as the game goes, in my opinion. The next question is from Marquise, who says, "What are our chances look like against the Ravens? If I'm keeping it 100, LJ looks like a changed man, and our defense is looking average if he throws the ball." Interesting. Now, I think the loss of Myles Garrett is going to be a huge factor, right? But I think Lamar Jackson has been this good of a passer and this good of a runner since he was in Louisville. He's gotten better, but I don't think he is that much different than what he was to start the season. I think his defense has played better and put this offense in better positions to where they can run their best stuff. And that is what has taken this offense to the next level, is because when this offense does not have to play from a double-digit lead, they are very good and they are almost unstoppable. And if they get an early lead on you, the Baltimore Ravens go up 14 on anybody, that's it for the game. Like, just a wrap. But if you go up 14 on the Baltimore Ravens like the Browns did, then you have a very good chance of slowing them down. That is the thing with the Baltimore Ravens, but with their defense playing as good as they have been playing, I think that is why this offense has taken the next step. If you notice, they started putting these beatdowns on teams after they got Marcus Peters, after they got Jimmy Smith back, after this defense made some changes to get more whole in order to put the offense up ahead early. And that has really been the factor that has changed the game for the Baltimore Ravens. I don't think it's necessarily Lamar has just magically gotten better. I think he's been better since the start of this season. I just think that the defense is allowing this offense to be in the best possible position, which is what a good defense is supposed to do. This next question comes from Stuart Anderson, who says, are we going to re-sign Joe Schobert anytime soon? We cannot afford to lose him. I completely agree. Joe Schobert is the quarterback of the defense, and he's a pretty damn good one. He's always where he needs to be. If he could just be like a 2% more sure tackler, he would be one of the best linebackers in the NFL, has great instincts, knows where to be at the right time, and has gotten 4 interceptions in 2 games. Joe Schobert should get Christian Kirksey money at the very least, and I hope that John Dorsey brings him back and allows him to bring in Sione Takitaki and Mac Wilson under his wing as opposed as them replacing him. The next question comes from Garrett Coors, 12, who says, if we are 8-6 going into the Ravens game, do you see any way we can win that game? We did it once. I just think it's possible we do it again. It's going to depend on what kind of football the Ravens are playing in week 16 and what kind of football the Browns are playing. If these two teams played 3 weeks ago, it would be a completely different story. But if the Browns rattle off a bunch of wins, this offense looks like it's clicking, and the Baltimore Ravens take a step or two back and slow down a little bit, this could be a game that the Browns win. Football's a week-to-week game. We have to see what Browns team is walking into that week and what Ravens team before we predict anything. But yeah, it's certainly possible the Browns beat the Ravens at home. And regardless of what version of the Ravens that they were, they still had the same best player on their offense. It's not like the team completely changed. Sure, they made some changes on defense, but Lamar Jackson was their best player when we played them, and he still is their best player. So they're capable of beating this Ravens team. It just depends on what Ravens team shows up that week and what Browns team shows up that week. And if the Browns team we hope is there shows up and it's at home, they have a good chance to win that game. Next question comes from Beefy Leakage, who says, were you wrong about Freddie? I don't know. This is why I said I'm giving Freddie for the end of the season to change things. Now, it got dicey there. When he lost to Denver, if he would have lost against Buffalo, then after the Steelers game on Thursday night, you probably would have replaced Freddie Kitchens. That's how close it came for Freddie Kitchens. But for right now, I'm willing to be open to the idea that Freddie Kitchens might be the coach for this team. And I'm open to whatever he can produce on the field. If he wins a bunch of games, if he pulls off 8-0, how the hell can I say I was anything but wrong about Freddie Kitchens? But until that happens, I can't make a determination one way or the other. And I think what he's earned is that I'm going to wait till the end of the season to see if Freddie deserves a second year. That's what he's earned, and I'll give him that. Next question comes from Kyle McGuire, who says, why did they release Deborah Lawrence? I have no idea. That did not make a lot of sense to me. I thought Deborah Lawrence was a very good rotational piece in there. I thought he was the defensive tackle piece that they were missing since they weren't able to get Gerald McCoy in the offseason or Mike Daniels. It was confusing to me why they didn't do that. So I have no answer here. And I hope Deborah Lawrence gets picked up somewhere else. He's a very good player. This question comes from Giants Nation, who says, what's up, Quincy, your favorite subscriber here. And my question is, do you ever look back at this season and see a could-have losses that should have been wins for you guys, like the Titans or Broncos game? And do you think you guys can sneak in the wild card as a 9-7 team? 9-7, I think you'd be leaving the fate in other teams' hands. If the Browns win out, go 10-6, yeah, they can make the playoffs, because I think 10-6 puts your fate in your own hands. I think the Browns are in it if they go 10-6. There is no question about it. As far as could've, would've, should've wins, yeah, there's a bunch of them, man. There's the LA game early in the season. There's the Titans game. If the Browns don't get in their own way, that game. There's the Seahawks games. There's a ton of games. This team should not have started 2-6. If this team were in a better place mentally, if this team had a better mindset to start the season, they would probably only have 2 losses right now. They would be competing with the Baltimore Ravens for the division because that's how good this team can be. But they did not do that. They decided to kind of buy into their own hype, and now they're paying the cost and digging themselves out of their own hole, and hopefully they learn from this so it's not a problem next year. This question comes from the Catster, who says, in your opinion, has Baker improved this year and taken some steps forward in his development? You know, I was watching the Ravens Rams game not last night when you watched this, but last night as of when I recorded this, and Jared Goff seems like a guy who was not able to adjust to the league's adjustments on him. He had the one good season his second year, but once the league adjusted to him, he has not been able to rebound from that. And it's been enough time that he should have been able to do that. And I'm not saying you throw Jared Goff away, but I think that's the difference between Jared Goff and Baker Mayfield. The league figured out Baker Mayfield's success his rookie year, and they had a solution for it. And it stumped him for a while. But after the bye week, when he played the best defenses he could play, you know, Bill Belichick, the Denver Broncos, the Bills, the Pittsburgh Steelers, those defenses, after everybody had figured them out for about 6 weeks before that, it seems like Baker Mayfield has adjusted to the adjustments that they made on him, and he's able to play better football now because of it. So I think that is a major adjustment that he has made. The ability to create chemistry with one of your best wide receivers in Jarvis Landry, major adjustment, major improvement. I think Baker Mayfield is a much better quarterback today than he was at the end of the season. Just the stats aren't the same, but stats don't necessarily measure progress in the way that you asked. But yeah, Baker Mayfield, I think he has taken a huge step forward, and I think he continues to take steps forward as each week goes on. And I feel very comfortable in saying that Baker Mayfield's going to be the starting quarterback of the Cleveland Browns for the next decade plus. He's a good quarterback. He's a starting NFL quarterback. He's a franchise guy. I feel confident in saying that as of now because he has showed that he can adjust to the league, adjusting to him, and a guy like Jared Goff showed that he can't. And that is the difference between a franchise guy and, you know, a system dude. So hats off to Baker. Keep on doing it. He has to do it this week against Pittsburgh, but I feel comfortable in saying that. You know, Baker Mayfield's probably a franchise guy. He's going to start for this team for the next 10 years. He's the solution, Cleveland. I think our problems are elsewhere if there are. Next question comes from Simprin Johnson, who says, how big of a window do you think the Browns have to make a Super Bowl before salary issues take over? I think the Browns have this year, next year, and the year after before salary cap becomes an issue. Now, I also think they have those years before staff attrition becomes an issue because I think the Browns are going to have a very good season next season, and I think they're probably going to lose some coaches, and I think you can rebound from that the next season, but the season after that's going to be the difference. So yeah, I think they got this year, next year, and the year after. But that's all the questions for this week. Thank you guys for asking. Again, if you want to have your questions featured on the show, please join the notification game, subscribe and notify, so you can be first on some of these posts that go up when I ask for the questions. I also ask for questions on Twitter, so follow me there. And if there's a notification thing on Twitter, ding it. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for asking the questions. Have a great day. Have a good night.